Okay, so, we always say send us the good stuff. And this one's really something.
Yeah, someone sent us a YouTube video from this channel called Jasno Jidizi Krzysztof Jackowski Official.
I think the title translates to, like, what was that? Something like that. It's a pretty short video, actually. But what they caught on camera during one of his live streams was strange. Really strange. And no one even noticed it at the time.
Not even Jackowski himself. It was actually Robert Bernatowicz who spotted it later.
And brought it to his attention.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take a deep dive into all of this, the video, the conversation around it, and luckily you provided us with a transcript. So yeah, we're going to unpack it all and see what we can make of this unusual event.
I mean, we'll try to understand it, right?
Exactly. And we'll also be looking at a viewer named Piotr who called in and shared some of his own related experiences, which are pretty wild.
Yeah, so let's start with this anomaly itself. The video shows it pretty clearly. This object, it's moving so close to Jackowski. Like, picture this. He's sitting at his desk, MacBook, right in front of him. And this thing flies right between him and the laptop.
It's got to be less than 80 centimeters.
Yeah.
Like literally right by his head.
Yeah, about head height. And the thing is, he's looking down at that exact moment, concentrating on something. He's drawing something.
Yeah, and the description of this object is what really gets you. It's moving fast,
Yeah.
It's clearly rectangular, and it's described as this, like, energy.
Yeah, and when you slow the footage down, it looks like it even has these sharp edges, like well-defined edges. It's just not something you'd expect to see.
It really makes you wonder what could even create that kind of visual effect.
Right, or if it's not just an effect, if it's something else entirely.
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting is that Bernatowicz immediately thought it was some form of energy, like right away.
Yeah, and you know what else? During that live stream, not one comment, not one person said they saw anything weird at that moment.
No one noticed it live.
And even Jackowski himself, he didn't even see it until Bernatowicz pointed it out later.
Which just makes it even weirder.
It really does. And then you've got the weather conditions to think about, too. It was early March, so still pretty cold. Just a few degrees above freezing.
Yeah, Jackowski even says there were no insects around at all because of the weather. No flies, no gnats, nothing that would usually explain this kind of thing,
Right, because this thing was moving fast. And it was so clearly rectangular, like an insect wouldn't look like that.
Right, and Bernatowicz makes another interesting point, too. He noticed that the object didn't just fly straight past. It actually made this upward arc afterward.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. So it wasn't a reflection then.
That's what he was thinking.
Yeah.
It pretty much rules out a simple reflection from glasses. Especially since Jackowski was looking down at the time, a reflection would behave differently.
That's a good point. We always try to find those simple explanations first, right? Like, oh, it's just an insect, or it's a trick of the light or something. But the details here just don't really fit.
And then, of course, you've got the whole orb phenomenon that people often bring up when you see stuff like this.
Oh, yeah. Like those balls of light that show up in photos and videos sometimes. But Bernatowicz was pretty adamant that this wasn't an orb.
He said it looked more like a rod, like it was elongated.
Oh, yeah. Almost like a rectangle that was kind of pushed in a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the speed, too. It wasn't just floating around like dust or mist. It was moving with purpose.
So we have this thing. It's fast. It's shaped like a rectangle. It's described as energy. And it appears when none of the usual explanations seem to fit. But you want to know what really makes this thing interesting?
What's that?
What Jackowski was doing at the exact moment this thing shows up.
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets really fascinating.
Okay, so Bernatowicz points out that just as this rectangular thing appears, Jackowski's there presenting a map.
A map of Poland?
Yep. And he's in the middle of talking about a vision he had. A vision about the future. And in this vision, there's potential divisions within Poland.
Wow. Okay, so then what?
Well, Bernatowicz, being Bernatowicz, he doesn't stop there. He takes it a step further. He uses editing software to actually overlay the path of the object on the map that Jackowski was showing.
No way. Seriously.
Yeah, and guess what? The object's trajectory, that basically divides Poland in half right there on the map.
Whoa. That's a pretty crazy coincidence if it is one.
It really is. And then Bernatowicz remembers this previous prediction that Jackowski made. It was on a show called Wielka Uciecka. I think it means The Great Escape. And in that prediction, Jackowski talked about a scenario where half of Poland might have to flee.
So Bernatowicz is suggesting that this rectangular thing on the map, this energy, it could be like a visual representation of that prediction.
Or even a way of reinforcing it. like a sign or something. It really
Yeah.
makes you wonder.
Yeah. But, we do have to be careful about jumping to conclusions. Just because two things happened at the same time doesn't automatically mean they're related.
Oh, definitely. Correlation doesn't equal causation. Right. It's exactly. But you have to admit the timing and the visual connection are pretty thought-provoking, especially given Jackowski's, track record.
Yeah, he does have a reputation for making predictions that turn out to be true. It definitely adds another layer to this whole thing.
Yeah.
But wait, it doesn't end there? The flying rectangle on the map? That's not all.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. A viewer named Piotr calls in during the video, and he has some pretty interesting experiences of his own to share.
Okay, so Piotr had contacted Jackowski before, maybe like a year and a half or 2 years before this video, and he felt like his observations were kind of brushed off at the time.
Yeah, he wasn't really taken seriously.
Right. But now with this new anomaly, his previous experiences are suddenly really relevant.
Okay, so during that earlier live stream, Piotr remembers Jackowski talking about the people who lived in his house before him, the previous family.
Why?
He was talking about a doctor and a woman who had problems with her legs.
So fairly normal stuff.
Yeah. But while Jackowski's talking about all this, Piotr says he sees these oars appearing above Jackowski's head.
Oars. I think he means orbs. Right. Yeah, probably. Those balls of light that people sometimes see.
Got it. So he's seeing these orbs. And what are they doing?
He says they were moving from right to left, and then they just stopped. And he specifically mentions that they were a different color than the rectangular thing from the later video.
Different colors.
It's interesting.
So we have at least two separate phenomena here.
It seems like it. And the crazy thing is, Jackowski remembers the call from Piotr, but he says he never actually went back to look at the footage.
Oh, wow. So he didn't even check to see if the orbs were actually there.
Nope. Which makes me think maybe we should take Piotr's story even more seriously.
Right. And that's not even the wildest part. Jackowski goes on to tell this other story. And it's a good one.
Lay it on me.
Okay, so he's doing another live stream. And this time he's showing a photo of a woman who had passed away. A woman whose body he had actually helped to find.
Okay, and?
Well, as he's talking about her, mentioning her name, the doors in his apartment fly open, like suddenly and with a lot of force.
No way. You're kidding.
I'm serious.
Huh.
He said it really freaked him out. Yeah, I can imagine. And what about Piotr?
Okay, so Piotr says he remembers seeing something weird on the screen at that exact moment, too. Probably those orbs he mentioned before.
So both of them saw something unusual when Jackowski was talking about this deceased woman. That is seriously creepy.
It is. And then Jackowski mentions that he's actually broadcasting from the same room where that woman's bed used to be.
Oh, come on. It's like something out of a horror movie.
Right. Okay, so then Piotr starts talking about his own experiences seeing orbs in his house.
And this is after the neighbor, right?
Yeah. He started noticing them after he found out that a young neighbor had committed suicide.
That's so sad.
It is. And he says he saw these orbs even when every electronic device in his house was off, like completely unplugged.
So it wasn't interference or anything like that. Wow. That's wild.
Yeah, and he thinks he was seeing them when he was thinking really hard about the neighbor's death, like when he was super focused on it.
So maybe there's a connection there between thought energy and these orbs.
It's possible. But wait, there's more. Piotr goes on to talk about other weird stuff that happened to him after big emotional events in his life.
Like what?
Well, after his wife's father passed away, books started falling off the shelves in his house. And then there was this other time he was watching a Bruce Lee movie. And right after he gets this strange text message, it's written in Chinese characters. And when he translates it, it says, knock, knock.
Chinese characters after watching Bruce Lee? That's weird. And kind of funny, too.
Right. But here's the one that really got me. He says he was going through some old photos, and he had these new ID photos of himself laid out on the coffee table.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, 2 photos of his deceased parents just appear right there on the table next to his photos.
Like what? Like they just materialized?
That's what he's saying. I mean, we only have his word to go on, but it's a pretty bizarre story.
It is. And all of this really supports his idea that these phenomena, the rectangle, the orbs, they're not just insects or camera glitches.
He's convinced it's something more, like some kind of energy, or maybe even another reality entirely. Who knows?
It's hard to say for sure, but it's definitely intriguing.
So at the end of the video, Jackowski says something really interesting. He says he's going to try to make it happen again.
What do you mean?
Well, he says he's going to focus his thoughts on people he knew who have passed away. specifically to see if he can make the rectangular object or the orbs appear again.
Like he's trying to trigger it on purpose.
Exactly. And he's very clear that there aren't any insects around at the time. So he's trying to rule that explanation out.
It's like a little experiment.
Right. It makes you think about the power of the mind. Like, what if our thoughts and intentions can actually influence things in the physical world?
It's a big question. But this kind of anecdotal evidence at least makes you wonder.
Right. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely wondering. But then on top of all this strangeness, the transcript also touches on some of Jackowski's predictions for the future.
Oh, yeah. He's well known for those.
Right. So he talks about this feeling he has, like something ominous is coming. And he sees a vision of a huge national funeral happening at some important historical site. At first, he thought it was going to be for Trump.
A national funeral. That's pretty heavy. And it's interesting that he initially connected it to Trump.
Yeah. And then he goes on to say that he thinks Trump is going to be deceived and manipulated. And this is going to lead to the rise of what he calls an axis of evil, and then eventually a global conflict.
Wow. It's a pretty dark picture he's painting.
Yeah, it is. And he also warns about how America is handling cryptocurrency. He says it could become really unstable if this geopolitical shift he's predicting actually happens.
So basically he's saying that if things go the way he thinks they will, cryptocurrency could be in big trouble.
Yeah, that's what he's suggesting. And it doesn't stop there. He predicts that there's going to be widespread poverty and a huge economic crash starting around April.
And he links this to Trump as well.
Yeah, he says it's going to be tied to the humiliation and betrayal of Trump.
So Trump's downfall is kind of the central point in all of this.
It seems like it. And his prediction about the global conflict, that one's pretty intense. He says the main battles won't even be fought on the land of the major powers involved. It's going to be in other places.
So like proxy wars and things like that.
Yeah. And he says that Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia, they're all going to be under serious threat.
Well, that's a pretty sobering prediction.
It is. But, that's Jackowski for you.
Always thinking big.
So there you have it. That's our deep dive into this YouTube video and transcript that you sent us. And I gotta say, it's some pretty wild stuff. This unidentified rectangular object, the possible connection to Jackowski's map and his past predictions about Poland, and then Piotr's personal experiences with orbs and all those other weird events. It's a lot to take in.
It really is. And you know what strikes me? All of these things seem to be tied to strong emotions. Whether it's Jackowski talking about the deceased woman or Piotr thinking about his neighbor. And then you've got Jackowski trying to intentionally trigger these phenomena by focusing his thoughts. It makes you wonder if our emotions and thoughts could somehow be interacting with the physical world in ways we don't fully understand.
Yeah, like maybe there's more to consciousness than we realize. Or maybe there are these unseen energies all around us that we're only just starting to become aware of.
It's definitely a possibility. And the fact that we have this video evidence of the rectangular object, that just adds another layer of complexity to it all. It's not just anecdotal anymore.
Exactly. So now we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on all of this? What parts of this whole story really stood out to you? And what kind of explanations make the most sense to you?
Yeah, and what kind of questions does this raise for you? About reality, about what's possible, about the things we can't see or explain. We'd love to hear your perspective.
We always say it, but it's true. We really do learn from you guys as much as you learn from us. So share your thoughts in the comments. And if you can, try to find the original YouTube video. Seeing that footage for yourself might give you even more to think about.
It might even spark your own theories and ideas.
Exactly. And who knows? Maybe there are people out there having similar experiences, things they can't explain. And by talking about it, by sharing our stories and our thoughts, maybe we can start to piece together a bigger picture, the deeper understanding of the world around us and the mysteries it holds.
I like that. It's like a collective exploration. We're all in this together.
Exactly. So let's keep exploring.